In this video, we're going to take a look at overhead and profit, applying overhead and profit, but applying it to some items and not to others. Okay, so just a little background. Overhead and profit is an allowance for additional funds to pay a contractor for the contractor's overhead, and also so the contractor can make profit. And it's often every company that you'll work for will have some different criteria as to when you would apply overhead and profit, when you wouldn't. But for this particular exercise, we're going to say that if an estimate, we're working for a company in this fictitious exercise where if you have 3 or more trades, that gets overhead and profit. And in this estimate, if you take a look, just take a quick look at, say, the living room alone. A category here. The category is a trade, so here's lighting, here's HVAC, here's drywall, here's insurance, here's paint. And there's a way in the reports to take a look at how many trades you have exactly, but we clearly have in this estimate 3 or more trades. So that's not what this particular exercise is about. So let's say we have 3 or more trades. So we want to apply overhead and profit. But this company that we're working for says, hey, even if there's overhead and profit, we don't pay overhead and profit on, let's give some hypotheticals, roof, fencing, and carpet. And of course, there's not going to be overhead and profit on personal property or contents either. So we got a 2-step process we need to deal with. The first step is we need to go and add overhead and profit, okay, to the estimate, and the second step is to pull it off of certain categories or certain trades. So let's talk about step 1. So I'm in a project in a scenario here, and I'm going to go to the claim info tab, and under the claim info tab I'm heading over to parameters. Okay, and here in parameters is where we can adjust our overhead and profit. That's 10% overhead here, and we're going to do 10% profit. I'm not saying that's what it always has to be, but that is very common. Occasionally I get a question, what is this cumulative overhead profit? What that will do is it will apply overhead and then take the new total after overhead is applied and apply 10% profit to that. So we're not going to use this option. I've never worked for a company that asked for that. So we now have overhead and profit applied. But let me show you a problem here, okay? In this estimate, we have personal property, does not get overhead and profit. We have fencing, and that doesn't get overhead and profit. Here's a roof, no overhead and profit on roof. And if we go into the living room, you'll see that there is carpet. So overhead and profit will not be applied to the carpet also. Now, there is a way to adjust overhead and profit and apply overhead and profit per item. Let me show you that first, but that's not what this video is about. This video is primarily about how to do this globally. So let's take this one carpet item right here, and if we click on the price button, see the item's highlighted, we're going to click on the price button, it brings up the edit unit price information. Now we can choose non-overhead and profit for this item. Okay, but you can see, and then hit OK here, you can see that this would become cumbersome going through the entire estimate line by line and adjusting overhead and profit. Okay, so I'm not going to recommend that. What I'm going to recommend instead is using the Global Changes Wizard. So let me adjust my view here so I can see all of these folders in my grouping. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little shortcut to highlight all of these, a hotkey. I'm going to highlight any one of them and then use Control and A on my keyboard. That's the Control key and the A key, both selected together. Okay, so all these are highlighted. And I'm going to right click on the highlighted area, and I'm going to get to my Global Changes Wizard. Okay, this is where I'm getting the Global Changes Wizard, and I select the Global Changes Wizard, and in the Global Changes Wizard I am going to be making changes to O and P. Now, Right now, as a default, almost everything in my estimate is has O&P. Okay, I have not stripped it off of anything except for that one carpet item you just saw a moment ago. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be making certain items non-O&P. So I'm going to be stripping O&P off of certain items. In fact, it's based on what trades they are. So if I choose under categories, select, so I can select which categories, what I'm going to do here is I am going to select the categories that I'm going to pull overhead and profit off. Now I know, for instance, that this is the replacement of the refrigerator. That's the contents. So I'm holding down the Control key, which will allow me to select multiple items. So here, this one's already selected. I'm going down the list. Here is floor covering carpet. Okay, holding down Control, I've selected that one also because it is going to have O&P taken off of it. Here's fencing. Okay. And I used the specialty items category to create my miscellaneous item for mattress. Okay, here's an interesting thing. Temporary repairs. This was a repair that was made to the roof, a temporary repair. It's already paid, and because it's already done and paid, it was done by a handyman, it's not going to get O&P either. Okay, and there's roofing. Okay, so see these items, multiple items highlighted? When I hit OK, it's going to list them right here. Here are the trades that are not going to have O&P in my estimate. Okay. Now when I hit OK, right, it's going to make those changes. Now let's take a look at what we've done. So I'm going to go up to the top right where I'm going to select print. And under print, I'm going to select view. It's going to create a view of what the estimate would look like. I'll zoom in just a hair. And I'm going to head all the way down to, well, first of all, here's the summary for dwelling, and you'll see that there is overhead profit, but clearly not 10%. Okay, and here's the summary for other structures where there's no overhead profit. And here's the summary for contents. Again, no overhead profit, but to really be sure of what has overhead profit and what doesn't, we go to this recap by category under the bookmarks view in our preview. Okay. So I go to recap by category, and here are all of the items that have O&P. So what I'm doing is I'm scanning through this to make sure that there is no carpet, contents, roof, or fencing that has overhead profit, and it looks good here. Now my next list will be non-O&P items, and here is my refrigerator. I've got some demo that had O&P stripped off of it because it was on various trades, along with those trades. I've got carpet, non-O&P, fencing, roofing. Here's some of my contents and my temporary repairs. See, so this section right here, the recap by category, is a way to double check and make sure that you've pulled overhead profit off of items on which it cannot go per company instructions by the company that you're working for. So that's how you double check it. So I'm going to hit escape and escape. And I just want to repeat that we use a two-step process to do global changes to overhead and profit, make sure that we've applied it correctly. First is under claim info, we went to parameters, and we entered in the proper amount of overhead and profit. Okay. Then we went to estimate items, okay, and we highlighted all of these using Control A, right-click, global changes wizard, and we are choosing non-overhead and profit for certain items only. Holding down Control, I'm selecting those items. Okay. Okay, so only those certain items are selected. Then when I hit OK, it's going to strip overhead and profit off of those. Okay, and then we went to print, we went to view, went to recap by category in order to double check our work and make sure we've applied overhead and profit correctly.